Absolutely. I'm so glad to have a true New Yorker here today to join us, a trailblazer, a founder, someone who thinks about elevation by design as it relates to what that you do and how that you kind of shape how people show up in the world with confidence and clarity about how they present themselves. And so there's so many things to talk about on this subject, but I just wanted to give a little outline for what we'll cover. I know we lost some time, but we'll be efficient at the same time so that we can get everything out that is important because there's so much to learn about you. So, outline for today, we'll go over a little bit about you, what makes you a trailblazer, how you started your business. We'll get a mini masterclass for you, which I'm so excited about, and we'll do a speed round of questions and then open it up for audience Q&A because I know your community is here to support you today, and I want to make sure they get to engage as well. So, how does that sound?
Fantastic.
Perfect. Okay, great. So when I say the line elevated by design, what does that mean to you? Where did that come from? What's the origin story that made you the style strategist that you are today?
I think with working with so many people, you learn patterns, you
Mm,
learn thought process, you learn truths and rules and guidelines that each individual come to the table with. And they
sure.
vary, of course. And so I think it's important to hone in on funneling some of that and building structure. I
Right.
think most people like to have some structure
Hmm.
in facets of their life. And I think style is another area where a funnel system strategy comes in handy so that we're not wasting time, we're not wasting money, we're not
Right.
wasting frustration, right? When we have a funnel system or tools at the ready to streamline what we're building for ourselves.
Right. I like this idea of structure, especially from an academic lens. You obviously went to FIT, and so um, fashion to me can be a bit of art and science with that in mind, which you are curating, thinking about rule of thirds, thinking about how you show up visually, but also the creativity and innovation that speaks to self-expression. Can you talk about that balance a little bit, just because I think it'll lend well to understanding why you became the style strategist as well.
So speak to the balance of
The
strategy.
art and science of kind of design thinking, and then the academic side, which you got from your experience in school.
So it is all a visual experience, right? We
Right.
walk out our door, and before we say a word, we are
Right.
seen, right? We are
Mm-hmm.
sending a
First
message,
impressions. So
right?
true.
First impressions, we're sending a message. We are feeling something also. We're feeling something when we walk into our closet, when we're thinking about what we're going to be presenting, what's our story, where are we going? And so, as a designer, myself, a graphic designer, a visual artist,
Mm,
aesthetic is something that I'm trained to see with
right.
color. I'm trained for color. The rule of thirds applies in architecture and photography. It's a
Mm,
science, really. I don't even know how to describe it other than showing a visual, which I hope we'll show later in the little
yes.
mini section that I'll be presenting. The rule of thirds, and it's very much about aesthetically pleasing the eye and what
Mm,
showing what the rule of thirds really does. And when I'm working one-on-one with a client, that's something that I'm guiding them on their body shape and
sure.
their coloring, and so what formulas work for their body type. And everyone is an individual. We can say, I'm a this shape, I'm a that shape, I'm a this color, I'm a that color, right?
Right.
It then there's uniqueness, right? And there's what are we drawn to, and where does our personality come into it? So it's not just a visual exploration, it is also an inside experience coming out. So we do some deep diving into a person's personality because, color is
Ooh,
going to play a big role in
that's right.
how I'm dressing someone who doesn't want to be seen, kind of wants to, a person who may want to, blend
Blend.
in, blend in, don't bring me the attention. But then I'll have the peacock like myself who wants to walk
Yeah.
in the room and be seen. Come talk to
Right.
me.
Right.
Right. And, there's some iconic pieces in my wardrobe that, display just that. So, there are ways. I worked with a woman who really wanted to fade into the system, if you will, into the
Sure.
world, but she was on the shy side. But she, in her wardrobe, amongst all of the gray, black, ivory, and white, she had two pieces. One was a bright red leather motorcycle
Okay.
jacket and a royal blue motorcycle jacket, and she was drawn to them, but there was fear and there were guidelines and rules, and yet there was something inside her that says, I know I want to hide, but there's something
Right.
about these two pieces. And so how do we then incorporate those into the wardrobe? How do we create something with a baby step?
So let's talk about that. Your ability to kind of assess her personality from somebody else's, the peacock versus the introvert, let's say, and get into when you started seeing that your skills were needed, right? When did you become that trusted go-to resource? When I said, like I need to continue to make this my profession, right? When did it begin?
Of course, it begins with your community, my
Right.
friends, my family. A family member and I were very different from each other
Mm-hmm.
in myself being more outward and social and the peacock, if you will, and
Right.
this family member who's a little more, shy and reserved and yet wants to look good and had the resources to buy clothes that, she could thrive in and feel comfortable in, but still be a little more reserved.
Sure.
So I worked with her on a cleanse in her closet. That's how we started. And
Very
and
important.
she had to trust me, being a very close family member, to
Right.
trust that I was going to be gentle with her, and that was something that I had to learn to do, right? What am I never know what I'm walking into, even though you have a
Okay.
conversation with someone, then you're going into their home, into their sacred space, right? Our
Yep.
closet is a very sacred space. Our
Definitely.
bodies, right? Our bodies are sacred space and rules. And so with that, again, that those moments of, wow, this person is trusting me with such sacred space. That was when I knew this was so made for me, made for me.
That's
And I will
beautiful.
just add a little, I want to add props to my mom. My mom is an
Oh,
incredible person
of
who
course.
has taught her children and community to be a good person in the world and a listener and a
Hmm.
guide. And I know that I channel my mom a lot. And when I first started the business and seeing, folks who were not my family or friends, I would
Right.
call her after a session and say, okay, this happened. Did I handle it right? How was that? How did I do? And it was really helpful, really helpful. And
Oh,
then, of
I'm
course,
sure
the more
feedback.
people that
Yeah.
you see, the more you learn. The more I learned about these rules and people sharing, I can't really dive in and build something with someone without them telling me who they are and where they came from. It's
Sure.
really critical to hear the story because we all have a story. We come to the table with one and then we're building one in our closet and then we want to create something new.
No, that's so true. And you said sacred space and being trusted in it, which is what was that kind of light bulb moment for you. And I think that's awesome. And I actually just had a closet clean out myself last month so that I could think exactly about these things. I'm holding on to things. I might be a little sensitive about them, being able to feel comfortable with somebody who, based on how well they know you, is getting either a quick assessment based on how I present, what my home presents, and how I show up, and then what does that mean for how do you turn it around. So I know you have a lot of rules and tips and tricks to share. I think we should start the mini masterclass now. What do you think?
Okay, we can dive in. Let's dive in.
Okay.
And, just to preface for everyone, this is a moment for, exploration and conversation. It's not a one and done. We are
Yep.
all unique beings, and what might be for someone, as we were just discussing, might not be for another. So this is just a baseline where I begin with folks, and then we of course adjust for who they are. So I'm just going to
That's
be
perfect.
sharing my screen, and let's just start here, right? We
Yeah.
mentioned this a minute ago that style is our communication. What is
Mhm.
our message, right, Ruth?
Yeah,
Where we
absolutely.
walk into our closet and we see ourselves, and then we know where we're going that day. And so we are trying to imagine, where am I going? Who am I seeing? Am I on a stage? Am I just blending in? How do I want to feel? What's the weather like?
Yeah.
So, these are conversation moments for ourselves to have, a thought process, and to just know that, right? First impressions
Or
take
everything.
7 seconds, right?
Hmm.
We're walking into a room and people are seeing us. We're walking up to someone that we want to meet and they're seeing us before we've said one word. We're jumping
Right.
on a stage, right? We're presenting. I'm presenting today. I thought about what I was wearing today, how I wanted
Yeah.
to feel, right? Maybe you did too, Ruth.
Yes.
Right? And so though these are just some things to get us warmed up to start thinking about, and how your wardrobe can amplify or even confuse your message. Maybe you want to say, I'm an artist. I want to give the
Right.
impression that I am an artist because I am. And how does my wardrobe reflect that? Does it have to? Maybe not.
Well, this is
So
a really good point because one of the things that you said about like conflicting messages potentially, or dressing for the space that you want to be in that is aspirational to you. We're both New Yorkers now, or in not that you're here in San Francisco, but you're living in a different environment where you see culturally you dress like the city or the environment that you live in some spaces, but you're a New Yorker. You may be standing out in San Francisco amongst the group of people that you're around because you have your flair, your style, and what makes you uniquely you. So I think that's important. And I culturally in the environments we're in today, where we're going back to offices, people want to be around each other again. Events and community and engagement is so important. You are being seen and being tested, and may need to reevaluate your closet because the past 5 or 6 years ago from COVID are behind us now, right? And people are trying to kind of readjust their social norms. And so I think this is an important time of year, obviously, the beginning of the year to think about this subject and also think about how you want to, if you are reinventing the way you show up in the world as society changes within it. So keep that in mind as we go through this class.
right. And you may have gotten a promotion. You may
Mm-hmm.
be pitching your business. You may be on a stage for the first time
Right.
presenting. And so these are things that you want to start thinking about, is how you're building your message. Is your message of your wardrobe, your personal presentation, aligning with the message you're about to share?
Mm.
And so
Yeah.
getting real. Let's get real. Recognizing where we are, right? Really identifying, where am I in this process? Am I just starting out? Am I really confident in my wardrobe already and I just want to do some fine tuning? Is my style confusing? Am I confused when I walk into my wardrobe? How many have felt that way? I
Right.
know I have. There's some evolution there that might be needed in the wardrobe, in the closet. Does my confidence feel consistent? Are there? This is something that I find in nearly every closet, is what I call an oddball. It's an
Mm.
item or a few items that don't belong with the others, and so that's something that I go to first when I talk with someone. Tell me about this item. Tell me about this section, because then I'll learn more about them, and then they will too, because they're then
Right.
sharing that story with me, and then maybe reassessing what that item is, and does it stay? Does it move forward? Where do we go from there? because second guessing ourselves, how many of you have done that? I know I have. We go into our closet and we pull out, we're focused, we know we're going somewhere, the networking event, the black tie, the this, the that,
Yeah.
going to meet friends for lunch. What am I wearing? We pull all of our closet out onto our bed and it's a big mess. We want to try to reduce that, right?
Right.
By having a strategy and creating categories and reducing the stress. So, hence a style strategy,
Right.
building a strong style strategy, beginning with knowing your body shape, right?
Mm.
You don't have to categorize it and say, I am an apple shape or I'm a column, but just
Hmm.
knowing where you want to enhance and drape and fit. Because fit is, I will say, the number one element when we are getting dressed. How is something fitting us? Is it too tight? Is it too long? Where is my waist? I work with someone, let's
What are
identify
those
where
key
your waist is.
numbers? What are
Say
those
again?
numbers that people should know on fit when you think about, for example, when I got fit for a bridesmaid's dress, they're taking the waist, the show, all the different things, but I don't typically know those numbers off the top of my head, and I had to get measured and do all the same thing for my head. You get your head shape for a hat or for other garment. Like, what are the top kind of measurement and proportion and fit things that you think people should know as they may want to get something personally curated for them?
Waist, hips, length, and seam. So
Mm.
waist, hips, length, and seam. For the gentleman, it's the neck
Mm.
and the arm length. Dressing for who you are now, right? And dressing with intention for that person, for that lifestyle. Where are you in the world? Are you in an office environment? Are you working from home? Are you socializing every day, networking? Are you on a stage? Right? So we want to identify what your lifestyle is right now, not who you were 5 years ago, because
Yeah.
that will not apply. Excuse me. And aligning your look with that message and identifying that your message for your lifestyle, for these places that you're showing up, even if it is at home on a Zoom call. There's a
Right.
strategy for that. And
There always
your
is.
strategy is more powerful than a trend. I don't like to follow trends. It's not for me. I have clients
Hmm.
that love trends, so we will adapt to that. Um, but I think trends can be tricky and confusing and challenging and can get in our way sometimes. So, just one tip about trends, pick one or two trends, minimize your trends that you're following for yourself. I think that it will help in the long run. So just keep in mind, style isn't random, it's designed, and that will then take you into building your style strategy. Let's simplify things. Styling and editing. Don't just wear it, style it. That's where
Mm,
accessories come in, right? How many
definitely.
people love accessories? I know I do. I love accessories. I love starting with a blank canvas as a painter. I love to start with a blank canvas and then create something from that. So the other day I was at a women's gathering and I had a blank canvas. I was wearing ivory trousers and an ivory top. And I was wearing a jacket over that. And then a friend of mine gave me two new jackets. One was a black leather
Mm,
jacket, the other was like a riding jacket, a brown tweed. And both of those items gave a different look, but they complemented that base. They created the art on the base of the ivory silhouette that I was wearing, and it just was
sure.
masterful, and everyone in the room was seeing this. Then they said, wow, where's that jacket, and then this, and they really focused on the jacket because of the blank canvas. So again, it's drawing what is to your eye, using accessories wisely. Accessories can be color, it can be an earring, it can be a shoe. The shoe can be the hero of the outfit. Your handbag can be the hero of the outfit. But also, on this last bullet point, edit before you step out. This is
Mm,
critical. You know, I tend to put things on I layer it on. San Francisco is a layering temperature. And
Environment,
so
right?
before I walk out the door, I look in that mirror by the door and I say, okay, what is one item I can remove? Or what is another element that I can just take away here or hide or reframe? So before you step out the door, take a second look. Is there anything that I can edit, or does it all feel great? And then you can move forward. Just a little inside tip there. But do
No,
use
that,
accessories. Do use accessories. They're helpful and playful. Uh, Ruth, what is one accessory that you wear all the time? What's something that comes to mind when you think accessories in your closet?
yeah, absolutely. So, living in New York, walking around on these sidewalks, I need the right shoes, whether it is a boot that can handle the grates across, this great city, or um, a commuting shoe that I can have with me to then bring along, like that's also foldable potentially, or it's a different environment if I'm going to work and I have my commuter shoe versus I'm going to an event and I need to put that commuter shoe away. So I constantly think about the flexibility of the shoes that I wear, because it really does matter when you're in a walkable, you know, moving city with public transportation, because they get worn down. And that also means letting go of shoes that I love when they are worn down and throwing them out of the closet. So that's just something that has come to mind. And there was another question I had, because you said about styling and editing, the importance of color and how you stood out with that. You know, the outfit that people, the first thing that they noticed was the color, the camel, the beige, and like what made that beautiful. And do you have any tips there on color and knowing kind of what's best for you? I know color match is a thing that people start doing now to understand. Some people say like, oh, I don't like this color because it doesn't look good on me, versus the reality of what actually looks good based on your skin tone, your hair, as you mentioned earlier. What shows up differently on the two of us is obviously going to be different because we're two different women. So I think
Yeah.
that's always helpful to understand. Like, you may like a color, but that doesn't necessarily mean it is the one that is going to look good on you. So that would be helpful as well.
Yeah, I think this is where a professional can be very handy.
Mm.
There are color analysts out there that work specifically on your color palette, which does change. I have to just say,
Ah,
when we have a tan, it might
right.
change. When we change our hair color, I mean, I've had pink hair,
Yeah,
I've had dark brown hair, my eye color. So these things will impact your color palette. But I think it is helpful to call in a professional if that's something that you're really struggling with, is knowing what
sure.
colors look good on you and why. You can also, if you don't, if you just want it down and dirty, is pull up something in your wardrobe that you're curious about that's a bold color, put it up to yourself, and then pull out another color item and that's very different and put that up against you. And you'll be able to see a difference. Now that again is just a down and dirty
Yeah,
way to get your own eye on it. And then of course you can pull in a friend. But really, a color analysis is a great way to learn what your palette can begin with, and that will help um, clear out the path of other
right.
colors that you want to avoid. I avoid lavender. I avoid
Ah,
yellows for myself, greenish yellows. I have blue eyes, so I am drawn to blues and reds for that contrast on the spectrum of the color wheel.
mhm.
Hope
Great
that
tip.
was some helpful.
Yes.
And then here is the rule of thirds we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
There might be people out there in our audience who are artists, designers, photographers, architects. They know all about the rule of thirds and the aesthetic. Here is just my little, again, down and dirty example in the image with the red X all the way to the left, where it's the white top and the black trouser. So that is a 50-50. You'll see that cuts my body in half right below my waist. And then if you move over to the diagram there with the green checks, you'll see that I created my waist, which then elevates the eye to look at the top third of my body. The same thing happens with tucking in the shirt, wearing a belt, wearing that crop jacket that sits at my waist. So you'll notice that the torso is the top third of my body and my legs are the lower two-thirds. Now this works for my body. And then you'll see the last two images where it's a little bit clearer. You can see the hip belt where it sits versus where the waist belt is sitting. And Ruth, tell me, what do you think of this? What is appealing for you?
No, there's so many things to pick out here. So, I mean, the first image in terms of the strong, crisp white Oxford shirt, and then the 2/3 pants. The thing that stood out to me is the body part highlights that matter based on whatever those other 2/3 are for you. So, if you have shorter legs or longer legs, 2/3 may be different, and you might be accentuating torso, and maybe like a hat could be that part third, or your jewelry is the big statement and you have a simple black dress. So that's something that stands out. And then your other point in the second one around the cropped blazer, and then the difference between a tucked in shirt versus a not tucked in shirt also stands out, because now you're adding that element of a accessory with a belt, right? That's that editing insight that you gave earlier that speaks to where accessories really shine, because now I'm drawn into the belt on your blazer in a way that I'm not as much with the first image, just because it's not as contrasted because the shirt is tucked into the pants. That's what I saw.
Got it.
I like,
Got
you
it.
know,
Thank you. Thank you for
gives me
sharing.
inspiration.
Yeah, and this can be flopped also. So you
Right.
could have the two-thirds on the top if you're wearing a dress,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's the invert for this. Something to think about. And
Right.
I just threw together, a blank canvas for the gentleman out there or for folks
No,
who
this
like
is
to
good.
wear this style. And again, it's not for everybody. This is just a generic thing. It's what my eye is drawn to. I love the
Mm-hmm.
neutrals. Neutrals are, and brown is a neutral, everyone. Navy is a neutral.
I didn't know
So
that.
these are, yeah.
This is
Oh,
good.
yes. So
Yes.
these are things that are your blank canvas that you can address. And these are just essentials that I think people might want to think about adding to their wardrobe if it's not there. A fragrance, it can be your own essence. It does not have to be in a bottle, but it's just
Right.
something to think about. It's part of the story. A belt. Some people are afraid to wear belts. Work with a stylist.
Mm-hmm.
Learn where your waist is, and a bag, something to carry your things in, a simple trouser, a denim, a jacket, a shirt, a t-shirt, and a coat. A coat can really do magic. It has for me. I have an amazing coat that I bought last year, and if I just want to run out in my sweatpants, I'm throwing on this coat that is magnificent and tailored and beautiful, and it elevates my feeling just going out and doing errands. But this again is just some blank canvas for the gentlemen, and for the ladies, very similar, little black dress. Although I have met many women who don't want to wear a dress, all good. Maybe go for a jumpsuit or a tunic or
I love a
something.
jumpsuit. Yeah.
Yeah, I love jumpsuits. A good denim trouser. It's an elevated version of maybe a boyfriend jean, although we can elevate boyfriend jeans too. Again,
Yeah.
work with a stylist, find the ways. A black trouser, depending on your body type, you want to think about what that cut is for you. A white Oxford, it can be an off-white. That too is a judgment call for the individual, whether
Right.
it's a white or an ivory. I tend to be drawn more to ivory than a white. But again, that is just something to think about. A silk tank top, a layering piece, a good belt, a handbag to carry things in, your fragrance, your essence, some jewelry, accessories, a nude shoe. I am a big proponent of the nude shoe. I have more nude shoes in my closet than any other color of shoe. I just think it
Oh,
is
wow.
elongating, and I'm always looking to elongate, and I'm also looking to camouflage my feet. I want them to blend into the ground. So that's just something that I think about for me, because I have big feet and I am trying to reduce the attention to my feet. So, and there's that coat, right? And so I just want to
I was just
share
going to ask you
quickly.
about that quote. I
Yeah,
thought people would
yeah,
want to know.
yeah. Oh,
That's
my
it.
feet? Yeah, the
No, no,
size.
the
Oh,
coat that you said you bought that
oh, my
became,
coat.
yeah, the signature investment piece, right? To elevate how you're feeling even when you're in a rush, when you're doing errands, you can elevate that sweatshirt, well, the sweatpants with a nice statement
Yes.
piece. And so it'd be great to get your perspective on like when to invest in a piece like that so that you have that kind of signature up leveled look even when you're on the go, and how you think about that even from financially and sustainably, right? That's something that I know you think a lot about as well.
Yes, and I think, you make that decision. I think a coat or a jacket in the springtime really can elevate an anything, a blank
Sure.
canvas, a very casual look. It could be a shoe as well, that draws all the attention and draws the attention away from the fact that I'm wearing sweatpants or leggings or a t-shirt or a tank
Sure.
top. Could be jewelry, could be a handbag. So just be mindful of what you are drawn to, what works for you.
Mm.
And as far as budget and sustainability, consignment is a great place to start if you're on a budget, or that is where I do most of my shopping.
Mm.
75% of my wardrobe is secondhand, hand-me-down consignment. I just
That's
wanted
good.
to share this last slide, and then I'll jump off of the slides.
Yeah,
Is
great.
that this was 7 outfits made from just those basics. I just moved them, and many more outfits can be made from those basics. So you can think of it that way too. Is it's not just to have a core, but it is to mix and match the core, right? The blazer, and it doesn't have to be a camel blazer. It can be a navy blazer, a gray blazer. This is all your choice. It could
Sure.
be a red blazer. Things that red could be your hero piece and your hero element. So I'm just going to stop sharing there. But yeah, so sustainability and options when we're on a budget. Salvation
Hmm.
Armies are also amping things up. In New York, you have a mecca of shopping, right?
Right.
And you can find unique things. You can find unique things from street vendors. I bought a brooch from a street vendor for
Ooh,
$5
gracious.
many years ago. It is a signature piece that I own. It always gets attention. I love it. Again, an addition to a blank canvas. Also with consignment. And I just was having this conversation with a woman yesterday. She says
Hmm.
she shops all around the world. And
Okay.
I asked her, where does she shop? And she said, I shop everywhere I go on holiday, and I'm in Europe and this and that. And I said, and what happens when you take those items home? I said, do you incorporate them into your wardrobe? She says, no. I wind up giving them to friends or reselling them. And I
Oh.
said, well, what happens? She says, well, I bring it home. I was so excited. I'm on vacation and I'm with a store owner and they're showing me what they have. And I buy as I want to buy something and I take it home and it doesn't go with anything in my wardrobe. And so that's where consignment can be a real great jewel for us who are looking for
Yeah,
unique items of quality, because
that's a
she
great
sends it
idea.
to the consignment shop, and that's where I come in and I hunt for that unique item, and I am finding this brand new with the tags on it because she did not know how to incorporate that into her wardrobe.
Wow. Wow. She needed to meet you before she went on those trips so she could get her
Oh, you
sessions in.
betcha.
We'll do a follow up that. But this is awesome. I think there's something to think about in terms of one question I saw that came up around covering tattoos at the right time. I'm curious what you think about that, whether it's, through long shirt, or I guess it depends on where it is. The person didn't specify, but what do you think about that in terms of tattoos where you might be in a more corporate or conservative setting, and how you show up is, like you said, 7 seconds. What do you do when those questions come up with some of the people that you work with?
Sure, I think this is a variant, okay? Because you might have a beautiful tattoo that can be an accessory. And maybe
Right.
that's maybe what this person might be asking about. Yes, I see
Hmm.
a tattoo as an accessory.
True.
It depends on the message of the tattoo as well. That is
Okay.
something that I would keep in mind. And also the audience. Who is our audience? We want to keep that in mind when we're thinking about showing our tattoo, or not just showing it, but highlighting it.
Right.
So there might be an audience to highlight your tattoo. Obviously, you know where on your body the tattoo is and how to
Hmm.
camouflage it, how to hide it, how to cover it with clothing, a scarf, pants, long sleeves, however it is. But I think that a
Right.
tattoo can benefit you as well and be worn as an accessory. And I think tattoos are much more acceptable these days, and become someone's signature as well.
Right.
I'm sure we've all seen people with sleeve tattoos. I have a friend with leg tattoos. Her whole leg is covered, and it's
Right.
magnificent, and it's art. So again, your audience is something to keep in mind.
Two more questions from the audience. One from MA. What are consignment shops? Also, what would you use to pin a woolen cape? I want to use a brooch, but I'm worried about ruining the wool.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yes. Thank you for asking these questions. I love it.
Hmm.
What is a consignment shop? A consignment shop is a secondhand shop where people are bringing their clothes, and once you buy their clothes, they get a piece of the pie of that sale. Yeah, so the consignment shop is a brick and mortar, or it's even like a Poshmark, if you will. And for the online folks that want to shop online, but for those like me who needs to feel the texture, see the color in
Yep.
real life, know the size, try it on, something tangible, a consignment store, brick and mortar, you can find. Just do a search for consignment shop there. And for the wool, yes, wool, silk, our fabrics, let's protect them. So
Yeah.
I wish I had it with me right this moment. I have found magnets. I have these decorative magnets. You can find them
Ooh.
on Etsy. Do a search
Hmm.
for decorative magnet. Reach out to me directly and I will send you a link. You can buy them from me as well. And it is a very, very, very strong magnet. Sometimes I use two of them. They are decorative. They come with either a stone or a solid brass or gold or a jewel, different colors. I've got silver, blue, amber, etc., gold, and I use those to tie my scarves and to keep my scarves in place. I use it just as a decoration. I use them if I were to button this up to the top, and then I wanted to just have a little something here. I would put my magnet there as a decor, as a
Brilliant.
button, as decoration. So that is great for your wool cape or scarves. Is a decorative magnet. They're very, very strong. Yes, sometimes you might have to wear two.
Great pro tip. Okay, MA, follow up with Sue about these magnets. I'm excited to see that. Lisette's question is, can you talk more about belts? Struggle to incorporate them as they always become the one item I take off when headed out the door because I don't know which belt truly works for me. Thin belt, thick belt, throw the belt, loops or not, etc. Help her out.
Okay, I think start with your waist. Okay,
Hmm.
I find identifying where your waist is. It's really the smallest part around your body, above your hips. Okay, and that varies for everyone. So
Hmm.
do your best to identify where your waist is, and that's where you're going to put most of your belts. And as we get older and our bodies shift and change, our waist tends to get higher, more of an empire waist, and that's okay. That's where your waist is. Don't discriminate. So just
Right.
identifying where your waist is at this time and where your figure is, that is where you're going to put a belt. What is a too big belt, too wide, or too thin? Honestly, if the belt is a wide belt, then that is going to draw the attention. So think of it that way. And again, this is something that is better done in person, but my guidance to you is if it's a really big belt, be mindful that it is going to get the attention. So you might want to stick with something that's very sleek underneath that belt that you're adorning the belt with. That is a signature piece. It's not necessarily to hold your pants up. And then for a thinner belt, that is just a slight accessory like an earring.
Mhm.
That is for decoration. Again, not to hold your pants up if that's what we're talking about. It's not going
Yeah.
through belt loops. And send me a picture. Hit me up, and I can give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down and some tricks to work directly.
Perfect.
I
And
hope that was helpful.
yes, she said super helpful. Thank you. And then Brianna's question is, what are the best ways to look current without chasing every trend?
You're going to do you, Brianna.
Hmm.
And you don't need to be in the current. You just need to be confident and comfortable and excited to share who you are. And whether that is shape and fit and color, then that's what it is. And I've
Right.
got things in my closet that are 50 years old, and it is all about how I am styling it. It is not a trend, it is me. And so, you know, to think about the most important thing to think about is the fit. Is it fitting well? Is it accentuating what I want to accentuate? Is it camouflaging what I'd like to camouflage? Is it me? Do I resonate? Do when I wear it, do I walk outside the door and am ready to hit the day and be seen in
Right.
this? Then you are doing it right. It is not about the trend. And it's not about being current or not.
I love that. Sue, is there anything I didn't ask you today that I should have to kind of wrap up this storyline around style as strategy, being elevated by design, and thinking about how we show up in this new year based on what you want to represent for yourself?
Honestly, folks, just think about your message. Think about who you are today, not in the
Mhm.
past and not necessarily in the future either. Where are you at right now? Who is your
Mm,
audience? Where are you going? What is your lifestyle? What is your budget? Get your colors analyzed. If that's something that you're focused on, make sure that clothes fit you. Make small investments in signature pieces like a coat, like a trouser, like a blouse, like a blazer, or a handbag. So you don't need to spend millions of dollars or tons of money to do it. You
right.
can shop consignment, and know that when you look in the mirror and you see a smile or you put a hip into it, that's when you know you're ready to walk out the door. Okay. That's
Aw,
when you know, because that confidence is right there. And ask a friend, ask your friends, ask your community, how did that look? How does this look? Take small risks, not giant leaps, right? Because that can then cause so much damage to us. But take baby steps. Wear that red leather jacket. Wear it with your canvas, your blank canvas, and see what happens. And you might hate it, and that's okay. It's all okay.
right.
Yeah. And work with a
Thank you.
stylist.
Listen, you know where to find her. Make sure you scan this QR code behind us. Sue, remind everybody where they can find you for follow-ups in case there's more questions that come up that are more personal that they want to direct to you.
Sure, the website right there. You can find me on IG, DM me on IG. You can find me on LinkedIn, Sue Yuru. You can find me, of course, on YouTube, my website, sueyuru.com. And yeah, reach out to me, and I'm happy to have a call with you, and discover what you need, what your goals are, where you're going, and how I could be of a support and a guide to you.
That's amazing. And I know you'll be in New York next month for New York Fashion Week. So quick plug there if you want to do that as well, just because that's coming up and you might have a base here.
Yeah, sure. If anyone wants to connect while I'm in New York, do a little shopping, do a little closet cleaning, hit me up. I will be there from February 11th through March 1st. and I'll be accessible to Manhattan and the tri-state area. I'll be mobile, so give me a call. Would love to connect. Send me a photo. Ask for inspiration. However, I can be of support. And there is one event that I'll be speaking on a panel, so stay tuned to my website. Sign up for my newsletter. I will not bombard you. I will not spam you. It's very loose newsletter and informative. So I've got an event coming up with a collaboration for Fashion Week on Valentine's Day in Lower Manhattan. So hit me up to find out more. I'm excited to share.
I can't wait to be there. And thank you again for giving us your time, your enthusiasm, your insights. I learned a lot. The rule of thirds, navy and brown are neutrals, thinking about how you edit and also edit as the most important thing you do before you leave that front door. So just remember those tips as you think about how you show up in the new year and how you reinvent yourself and express yourself. I really appreciated your time. I'm so glad that we connected, and I wish you the best as you shine on New York next month.
Thank you, Ruth, and to the New York Public Library. Thank you so much for this great, great honor as a native New Yorker. This is a most magnificent experience. And thank all of you for coming and bringing your questions and sharing a little bit about you through your questions. And I hope you found this helpful.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming.